Good morning. Thanks for joining me today. So I have my two little stacks here of a project called Offset, which I started, about a year plus ago. And I'm just making progress on it little by little. And what I do is I join these into pairs with the neutral and the dark print and any print. And so as I've been cutting up my scraps, I have a pile of, warm colors, oranges, reds, yellows, cutting these up into 1.5 by 2.5 inch rectangles. So I have all the colors here. And so I'm not particularly trying to sew any particular color. I'm just trying to go through my scraps. And so these take pretty small scraps. This is about as small as I want to go. And there's crazy part of me that says, I don't even know why I'm bothering with this, but I think it's going to be pretty cute. So I'm going to keep going. I had a string of them here somewhere too. So this morning I thought, since I have quite a nice stack of these and these, I thought I would just sew on that for a few minutes anyway and get another batch of them made. And okay, I want to show you one of the longer strands of it because I had several of them done in this bucket. Here we go. So this is what I'm making. I'm going to push back just a little bit. And if this row starts with a print, the next row starts with a low volume. Okay, so therefore these are offset. These two little pieces are offset. They do match. So when I sew these columns together, I will be matching this point and this point. But I pin anyway. And so I will just pin my columns, and my columns will be as long as I want my quilt to be. And I'm thinking I want it to be around 72 inches. So I just started sewing some of these together so that I could see what they look like. And that got me a little bit more excited about working on this project because, like I said, I doubted my sanity at some point, cutting everything up into these little 1.5 by 2.5 inch rectangles. So, but it makes a good leader ender. And so that's what I was using it for as I was sewing the mystery quilt November, December. While that was going on, I used these as my leader ender because it's a short seam. And I don't want to, when I do a leader ender project, I really don't want these seams to be very long because it takes up too much time then, and it becomes more of a primary project for me. So, good morning, Melissa. How are you? We're just getting started, and I'm just kind of getting my first seam going under here. And so just wanted to, make sure I say good morning to everybody again. My name is Stephanie, and I am the Everyday Sewist. So here I am. It's very typical for me to try to put a few seams together in the morning and try to be organized enough to be able to do that. And so I do. I have a few things here that I prepped to work on today. So hope everybody's doing well. And let me do a few more seams. So I can always go back as more people join in. I can kind of go back and show you what I'm working on. So that's one project that I'd like to make some progress on. And what about you? What is everybody working on this morning? It's a precious Saturday morning. I don't work more, but I still love my Saturday mornings just like I always did. So it pleases me in order to be able to spend some time sewing and not feeling like I have a lot of obligations. Although I do have a full afternoon, so this may be my only sewing time for the day. We'll see. But if I can get a few stitches in, you know the saying that 5 minutes matters or 15 minutes matters. When I can make a little bit of progress, it's a little bit and it adds up. Oh, hi, Jane. Okay, yes, finishing coffee. Oh, you're going to baste a table runner. Oh, that's a good project to do while you have somebody chatting at you, because you don't have to really necessarily watch what I'm doing. I'll show you what I'm doing, but you don't have to. You can certainly get things done. That's good. And Jane, you've got a, oh, okay. Jane, I wish I could see the fabric that you're using for Edward here. I wish I could see what you're doing for him. Oh, Janet. Okay. You're doing disappearing hourglass. That's funny. I am too. That was one of my other projects I brought with me to work on. And I have 3 of them plated up, ready to go. Shall I show everybody what we're working on, Janet? Because they can't see your project. So I'll show them my project and then they'll know what we're talking about. So if you haven't seen a disappearing hourglass, now I know Jane knows because she was the one who helped me figure out what this block was. This is the block that I'm making. And you make it from an hourglass block. Okay. So I have all of these blocks made. 42 of them is, I think, what I decided to go with. And then you slice them into thirds. So 2 cuts in one direction and 2 cuts in the other direction. And you switch the pieces, or you flip the pieces like inside out, like put the ones at the outside edges and you put them in towards the center. And when you do that, you get this cool star block, and I love it. And a friend of mine had made it, but she hadn't finished it. And so when she passed away, Jane and I have been finishing her quilts, and so for her family. And so when I did this hourglass for her, I love that hourglass so much. And I actually, well, since we were friends, we had a lot of the same stash, right? So I went into my stash and I pulled out a lot of the same fabrics or similar fabrics. And it makes me happy to do that, because not only is it red and white, which is fun to work on in February. I love working on red and white. I don't have a red and white quilt. I have never made, this is as close as I've ever been to making a red and white quilt. So Janet, tell us what colors you're using for your disappearing hourglass. Are you doing a layer cake? Are you doing some stuff that you pull from your stash? Because that's what this is. This is, I pulled from my stash. So I have quite a number of cave prints, and so I put as many as I could into that. As many of those cave prints as I could. I suppose you wouldn't necessarily call this really red, but like I said, in my stash, that's about as red as I get. I don't know why. I just have never really bought a lot of red. I lean more towards the pink and fuchsia kind of colors. So so that's what I'm working on. I'll get my light out of the way. So Jane, can you see, oops, this side. See what I've got hanging up over here? Whoops. She made that for me, and it is very appropriate for this time of year, but I leave it up all year round. So, okay. So Janet, you're doing batiks pulled from your stash, and you're only doing 12 blocks for yours. So it'll be like 3 across and 4 down, and then have sashing. Okay. I don't think I'm doing sashing. I think I'm setting mine without sashing, but I should look into that. I should look to see what it, if I would like it better with the sashing or without the sashing. So that's something I'll have to consider more when I get to that point. So what I did is, since when I was live last time, I was sewing the hourglasses. And since then, I've gotten all of these sewn up, and I have about 20 or so blocks made, which means, so I'm more than halfway done with my blocks, I'm sure. And then for today, I cut up a couple at a time, because even though my cutting board is right here, I would kind of be out of the picture. So I have 3 blocks, and I use paper plates. I found that to be really handy when I want to stack a bunch of blocks. And a teacher that I knew a long time ago, well, I still know her, but I mean, a woman that I knew from a long time ago who taught a lot of classes always did this. And so that was a little trick that I picked up from Kay, is that she would plate all of her blocks, and then you could pretty well put those into a box or a baggie or however else you wanted to store them until you were ready to sew them. But it kept those pieces more or less laid out and together, instead of using a whole bunch of separate baggies, which I guess you could do that too. But I have they're pretty cheap. Get them package of 100. It'll last you for a long time. So anyway, so I've got that to work on too. But for right now, I was just sewing some of these. And this one is not neutral enough for me. This is supposed to be, this was in my bin of light colored, but I'm going to say that for this project, this is not light enough for me. So I'm going to put that one aside. And it has really, I won't say depleted, but doing this, cutting these fabrics up into 2.5-inch squares from my stash, has really used quite a bit of them. I mean, I can see that there's space now in those drawers. I won't say the same for my scrap bin. My scrap bin seems just as full as it ever was. So here, I'll show you that too. So every month I am pulling out a different color of scraps and trying to do something with them, to cut them up, because at this point I've kind of figured it's either use it or lose it. And I mentioned that before, but just in case you hadn't heard me say that before. So in the Rainbow Scrap Challenge, February is for green. And so this is my bag of green scraps. And I have already taken some fabric out of here and cut it up for some other project. And I will continue trying to work through the month and trying to cut these up. At least, I mean, they were pressed before they were put into the bag, so I don't want to spend a whole lot of time pressing them. But I could sort out maybe some of the strings from there if I'm going to make some string blocks. I've already cut some up for this little project. I have a log cabin that I'm cutting for. I can cut up bricks, 2.5 by 4.5 inch bricks for a potato chip quilt. And I also started cutting a smaller size, a 2 by 3.5 inch rectangle, also for some unknown project down the road. I can do 2-inch strips and 2-inch squares, 1.5 inch strips. If I have to, I'll cut a 1.5 inch square. I had this idea of doing a postage stamp quilt, but I think that that's just too much for me. I just don't think that one is ever going to reach any kind of a finishing point. I don't have very high hopes for that one, because that ends up being a little too small. I guess that's the thing, is that right now, I like sewing with bigger pieces. And so that's why I'm thinking that a lot of these scraps in this bag, I'd rather just donate them. I'd rather just get rid of them, I think. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. So this year will be the year of either use them, cut them up, and decide that, like I said, I like making log cabins. So if I can make a log cabin quilt, but I don't want to make 10 log cabin quilts. So I don't know. It's kind of a tricky thing for me, because I'm not really sure. Like I said, every time I'm taking time to cut up my scraps, it's keeping me from making pencil pouches with my friend Jane. So, or doing other things, right? I mean, there's so many projects on a wish list, and I don't want to spend all of my time just dealing with my scraps when I know that I have all kinds of other fabrics that I want to sew and all kinds of other projects that I want to do. So tell me, what is the smallest size scrap that you would save if you save? So I guess the first question is, do you save scraps? And second question would be, what size would be the smallest size you would want to keep? And do you have any projects that you are thinking about doing with them? Because like I said, I like this little one. I think I'm going to like the way it comes out, but I'm not a fast enough sewer to think that I'm going to make 10 of these, because I could probably accumulate enough scraps for 10 of them. But that's probably really not what I want to do. So I would rather make my disappearing hourglass block, and I have some other projects that always lots of other projects in the queue. Where is that? I had a sheet of paper. So last year I started 44 projects and I finished 35 of them. Yeah, 1.5 inches. Yeah. So I wrote down my list of the 11 projects that I did not finish last year and thought, okay, let's not let those go along, because I think what happens is, I start all of these, but it's more than I can finish in 1 year. So I'm going to try not to start quite as many projects, even though I'm so sorely tempted to start them. And there's so many good ideas out there. I went to a guild meeting yesterday, and the speaker there had some wonderful quilts to show, of course. And I was very much tempted to get a couple of her patterns, but I know that I am not going, I can't start any others right now. So, yeah. Yeah, Melissa, I think that's the thing. I used to be what is the name of that book? No Scrap Left Behind or something like that. Cheryl Arkison. And it used to be that's the way I felt. I was going to use every single crumb, every single scrap of fabric. But now I have way too many ideas, and yes, I could keep some of them because there are a couple of projects that I'd like to do with some of my crumbs. And one of them is actually to take a template such as, let's just say a bird outline of, and fill it with crumb pieces so that bird looked like a blue bird or a red bird or a purple bird, and make an applique quilt with those cute little crumbs filling the outline of the bird. So that was one thought. I could also use standard shapes, such as tumblers, or I could make squares and use them for the center of stars. So I know there are lots of ways to use up those little pieces, but I think I might just let those go and let somebody else enjoy them, because I know that they would probably be used and enjoyed by someone else as well. So, so going back to the 11 projects that I didn't finish last year, I would say I have a really good chance of finishing most of them this year. I've already finished 4 of them, and I showed them in one of the other episodes because I finished my temperature quilt, I finished my stash buster, which didn't really kill my stash. It really didn't bust my stash, but it was a quilt. I finished that, and then I finished 2 flannel quilts. And the flannel quilts I'll show you in the next episode that I'm going to be taping like in the next couple of days. So I have finished 4 of the 11 already. 2 of them are hand projects. And I know for sure that 2 of them I'm not interested in anymore. It was sort of something I just wanted to test out. And I think that's fair too. I don't think we need to finish everything we start. that's why I think I'm going to make some orphan blocks, because if I want to do anything with them, I'll just put them into an orphan quilt. Whenever it is that I get around to that, that's where they'll go. So I will probably finish just about everything from last year. And then, of course, the things that are really truly UFOs are from what I would say are from before that. So they've really been shelved for a while. So you want to see one of them? I brought one of them over because one of my challenges to myself for this year was to, and I talked about it in the last episode, one of my challenges was to dig out some of my UFOs. And if I didn't know if I wanted to finish it or not, it had been suggested to me that I work on it for 15, 30 minutes, whatever it took to figure out whether or not I wanted to work on it. So this is one of them that I wanted to see if I still liked. So can you see that? So this is flannel, all flannels and flannel. These were flannel scraps. And this is the top half of a block. And the block is made in quarters. So let's see, fold this better. At least that's the way I did it. I was making this in quarters. So that is the block where it stair steps down. And this makes a 12.5 by 14.5 inch block. So it's a little wider than it is long if I have it like this, or I could have it like this. So you could put it any direction you wanted to. But what I'm doing is I wanted to see if I still, because I have 2 tubs of flannel fabrics. And so at one point I thought, oh, well, I can just cut everything up into 2.5 inch strips and make these blocks. And it would be a good way, because I don't want to go any smaller than that with flannel. But I like this as just a little bit different from a log cabin, you know, not quite a log cabin. So you make 4 of them, and this could be either these are, if I held it this way, it's the bottom 2, and then the others will become the top 2. And so if I make 9 of these, that would be enough for a 9 with 4 quarters each. That would be enough for a really good size quilt. And the idea for it was from a book. Let's see. Was from this book, Making Quilts, Kathy Doty. I love her ideas. I think there are several projects in there that I really like. So I had started this one several years ago and then shelved it. And so as one of the challenges to see if I still wanted to make it or not, because I thought I did, and I like working with flannel in the winter time. I really don't want to work with flannel in the summertime. So this box was full. And last night I watched the opening ceremonies. Who else? Anybody else watch the opening ceremonies? And what did you work on or do while you were watching the opening ceremonies last night? So I decided that I think this is going to be my project to work on during the Olympics. And so every time I sit down to watch the Olympics, I am going to finish cutting all the strips that I need and start making the blocks. And I think that would be really cool. I think that would give me enough time to work on this project. So I have almost all of my light strips cut, and I need to just keep sewing, or not, keep cutting out my dark strips. And it used a good pile of, like I said, this bin had been full of fabrics, and now those are all cut up. And so I'm pretty excited about that. Let me put that out of the way a little bit. Hopefully it won't tip over onto anything. It's precarious. It's piled up everywhere. I crack myself up. So, yeah, that's the way a quilting studio looks, right? So it's got piles everywhere, and I really try to keep things pretty tidy and organized. So by the end of the day, usually I try to have everything put away and nice and neat. But anyway, I should say another welcome to everybody. If you're just popping in, thanks for joining me on this live stream. I'm just sitting here doing a little bit of sewing and chatting about my projects that I'm working on, and I wanted to hear about what you're working on this morning. And if you are taking time away from watching the Olympics to sit with me for a while, that's so awesome. I appreciate it, and I'm really glad for your company, and appreciate you being here. So we've talked a little bit about our scraps, and about a couple of the projects that I'm working on. And let's see. So I should do a little bit more sewing. I am sewing my little neutral 2.5 inch squares to print 1.5 by 2.5 inch rectangles. I've got a bunch of those to sew, and then I'm going to sew them into columns. And I think it takes, let's see, what did I figure out? Every column finishes at 2 inches wide. So if I want my quilt to be about 54 inches wide, that means I need 27 columns. So that's a lot of these little pieces. I think I figured out that I need about 700 plus of these units sewn together. And I'm more than halfway there for sure. I think I'm up to about 500 at my last count, about 500 of these. So that's why I just thought this morning I would sort of try to work my way through this pile a little bit. And it's nice, easy sewing, and lets me make progress on these. As long as I don't pick up 2 at a time. Do you use a stiletto? I have been using the stiletto for a long time. I don't even think they sell them anymore, because this one is like so super sharp that I think it would be considered dangerous. And I don't, like I said, but it's got this grippy section here, and it's super sharp. And knock on wood, I've never put a needle through my finger, and I'm hoping to keep it that way. So I use a stiletto to keep my hands away from it. And if I can't find my stiletto, I use my seam ripper. I've got my iron set up here to the side. I'm probably not going to do any ironing. It's just making me hot. I should probably turn it off. So I have been trying to process those green scraps, not having very much luck. It takes a lot of time to work through them. I did pull a pile of them to use for my Kawandi style quilt. But that's just a small handful of fabrics that I needed for that one. So I was also thinking about trying to just do a green placemat or a green pot holder or something like that. So tell me if you have a favorite scrap idea. Tell me what that is. Like I said, I know I probably have a string quilt going, but that's not the only thing I want to make. I suppose I could just turn those strings into, turn the strings into placemats. I always thought that I'd like to make placemats for Meals on Wheels. So now that I say that out loud, that does remind me. Maybe that would be a good use for some of my scraps. And I think I could do it as quilt as you go, meaning I could put down I guess I could do it either two ways. So tell me how you would do it. I could just start with batting and laying the fabric down on top, sewing the two pieces together, flip it open, put in a little bit of stitching, some quilting, quilt it down, add another piece, quilt it down, add another piece, quilt it down, and do all of that without the backing, so that then when I want to add the backing, I could trim everything up, put the top and the backing right sides together, sew around the edge and flip it, so that I don't really have to quilt the whole thing again. Because I don't want to bind, I guess what I'm saying is I don't want to bind all the placemats. Although I'm getting better at binding by machine. So if I was going to bind, I would definitely do binding by machine. So Janet, my iron that I use is just this really inexpensive one called Even Steam Black & Decker. And I have chosen, I now no longer, I won't spend any more than $20 on an iron. I have had really good irons, really expensive irons in the past, and this one works just fine for me. I don't feel like it does any better to have a $200 iron. And so I just don't do that anymore. So that's what I use. I just use, when this one breaks down, I'll just go to the grocery store, Walmart, wherever, and I'll just buy one that feels really lightweight, because I typically don't use steam anyway, so I don't need a steam factor on it. So that's what I use. And oh, Melissa, you had a friend who made, oh wow. I'll bet that a wood stiletto, I bet that feels really nice in your hand. That sounds really lovely. Okay, so the iron-on grid interfacings. Maybe that's what I should consider doing for my postage stamp, because like I said, doing it the typical style is not doing it for me. Um, and if I were to spend like 30 minutes to find out whether or not it was a project that I wanted to continue, I think I would feel like that progress was too small. Um, so Melissa, have you used the grid interfacings? Did you like it? Did you feel like it made I guess I was thinking it would add a lot of weight to the quilt. Also, I'm a long armor, and so I don't know how that would behave when I long arm something. Do you have any idea about that? Because if it's sticky, like if it's a fusible interfacing, I have quilted many collage quilts for people, and I'm not sure, since I haven't made a real collage quilt for myself. I know there's some specialty fusibles that they use when making those collage quilts. And boy, did that stuff gum up my needle. I had to have alcohol in a swab, and I had to keep cleaning off my needle. Often, often. And so I wouldn't want anything to try to make anything that thick, but I don't think the grid interfacing is quite that stiff or quite that heavy. I'm trying to think if I've made anything with one of those. I only made a small, a little landscape quilt I made last year, and it was like the size of a placemat. And so when I quilted it, it wasn't any trouble at all. But yeah, I could consider that. I certainly could consider using my 1.5-inch squares that way. And maybe that would help me get some progress. My other thought was, well, I guess it doesn't have to be 1.5-inch. I could always move up to a 2-inch square, cut square, and that would at least feel like I'm getting somewhere. Hi, Christy. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. You don't save all your scraps anymore? Okay. All right. So you use yours in the garden. Yeah. I use some of mine for a cat toy. She'll chase around my selvages. But I know a lot of people do like making string quilts, and I have made several. It's just that that's not the only thing that I want to do. So it may be time to pass those on after I make my next string quilt. I don't know, because we'll always make more, right? Even if I got rid of all of my scraps down to the very last crumb, even if I did that, by next week, I'd still have a new pile of scraps coming in, right? It wouldn't take long. And then I would we're always making more scraps. So it would be fine. It would be fine. Am I talking myself into it? So yeah, I don't do about the interfacing. I've used an interfacing when making little pouches, but then again, I'm not quilting those a lot or just doing some straight line. Jane, if you're still there, I know you've got a lot of experience with interfacings and quilting through them. So I do think they would they would probably sew through a lot better than the stuff that's made for collage quilts. So get another one through here. Let's see, is this a nice little string so far? I know Bonnie Hunter had said one time, she said she doesn't think it's a good idea to do too many of these at the same time because they get tangled up. So maybe what I will do is find my cutter. Well, and I'll start cutting these apart into 10s, and that way it won't be quite such a long string. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's 30. Okay. Put these over. Oh, and Janet, you asked about my iron. But I should also mention that I like using a wool mat, at least for my little portable table that I have right next to me. So next to me, I just keep a tray table. And since it's a wooden tray table, I have this wool mat next to me. And I bought a really inexpensive one. I'm pretty sure it was through Amazon. And if I can look that up, if I can remember or confirm that, I can put that down in the show notes below. But what I found out, a friend of mine had been researching those wool mats, and it's the same material, supposedly, that is used in car manufacturing, where they need a dampener. Because so I think it's in the brake area, and so it has an industrial use in a whole nother like manufacturing section. And if it's used in cars, it's probably used in a lot of other applications as well. And so that stuff is out there for much, much less money than when it's sold as a specialty item for a quilter, or as in any hobbyist who's looking for items that seem to be specialty items. If it's used in another industry, especially manufacturing, it's going to be out there for a lot cheaper. So I know there was a company that would actually sell them to you in huge sheets, and if you bought the whole sheet, you could tell them what sizes to cut that sheet into. And so a friend of mine had done that. She'd done the research, and a couple of us got together and bought a couple sheets worth of these wool mats and had them cut into different sizes for our different tables. And they work perfectly from everything that I can tell. But I don't have allergies, so I can't speak to that. I don't know if by getting it from a different kind of manufacturer, if there's any different process in it that would perhaps make someone have their allergies kick in. I don't know. But anyway, if I can find a link for that on Amazon or wherever, I will supply that for you. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, so fusible interfacing is not a problem. All right, so I guess there's two different terms then that I need to remember. Fusible versus adhesive. So those adhesive ones are much thicker and gum up the needle. Okay. I had never heard of the trick of putting your needle through a bar of ivory soap. Okay. I'd never heard of that. That would be good to keep in mind if I now I don't I don't do as much quilting anymore for other people. It's just a personal choice. I just don't do as much of it as I used to. Because I'm doing this. Because I'm doing other things now. So but I will, if I do have that issue, I'll certainly I'll just put a bar of ivory soap in my little toolkit. And then someday I'll wonder what it's there for. And then I'll go, oh, that's right. It's to keep me from coming up the needle. Now, I don't know that I'd want to do sewing machine oil, Jane, because if that oil gets onto the top fabric, won't that cause a stain where the needle? I'd be really worried about using oil anywhere where it gets in contact with the fabric on the top of the quilt. Soap would be fine because if it's soap, it washes out, especially something like ivory soap. And the alcohol doesn't cause a problem either it doesn't react with the fabric. So that's why I had been using alcohol swabs. So I asked earlier, nobody said, did you watch the opening ceremonies last night? And if so, I should have a poll for you to do. I wonder if I could create a poll here. Do you have a favorite sporting event? So, will you watch the Super Bowl tonight? Will you watch the Olympics? Do you like tennis? Do you watch any of the Wimbledon or Australian Open? Do you watch the Indianapolis 500, Daytona 500? Do you watch any of those? Do you like the Masters? When is that? Is that in the springtime down in Augusta? So do you have a favorite sporting event that you like to watch? And I would say for me, it's been a while since I've watched the Olympics, but I really love watching the sports that are less common. When we lived in Canada, I learned a little bit about curling. And so now I find that fascinating. Yes, you need to order Peacock this month. And Peacock was actually included with my Spectrum service. So I didn't even pay for it. So depending on who your service provider is, they want you to buy their service. And so some of them include some of the streaming services with them. So I had activated that and watched it last night. And I have to say, it was stunning. It's worth a watch. It really is. And it's just so amazing to see all these athletes come together from all the different countries. It's just amazing to me. I just I also like watching I like watching all the athletes. I don't need to only see the ones that end up with the medals. I really like to watch all of the athletes who have earned a spot there. And so I hope that I'll get to watch a bunch of hours of the Olympics. I really do. I hope I'll get to see a lot of it. And because I can watch it on replay, I might actually watch some of the Super Bowl tonight, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. So let me know in the comments if you are interested in any of the Olympic sports. There's just been so many great moments in the Olympics, and there have been sad ones too, for certain, but there have been so many great moments, and I really enjoy all the sports, and ones that I wouldn't normally watch. What's the one called where they have to cross country ski, and then they have to lay down and shoot at a target, and then they have to get up again and go and cross country ski, and then shoot at another target, and they have to get that every time they miss the target, they are like penalized 10 seconds or something like that. That's crazy. It's like, I can't imagine how much their heart is pumping and how they have to try to slow down to be accurate and do that. That's crazy intense. And the kind of shape that you have to be in to cross country ski like that. Woo. Yeah. It's amazing. So I enjoy, or I can appreciate what those athletes have done to get there. I think at least a little bit, to some extent. So and I grew up in the Dorothy Hamill age, and so I always wanted to be just like Dorothy Hamill. And I do like bobsledding. I think that is also, it's fascinating. We lived in Calgary after the Olympics were held there, and so we got to actually teach our kids to ski on the same slopes that were used for the Olympics. And I think the Olympics were there in '88 in Calgary. And we moved there in was it 91? It's so far. That's so long ago. I don't quite remember. But if it was in 1988, if I'm right about that, that was the year that my oldest was born. And so I wasn't going to the Olympics when I had a newborn. But as they got older, we did take them skiing. We didn't ever try the bobsled. I wish I would. I think that would be a hoot if they had something like that, like a baby bobsled run for people to try to get like a little bit of an appreciation of what they're doing. Who would do that? Would you do that? Would you go bobsledding? Maybe if there was a driver in front of you, would you do that? Yep, you'd have to start out sitting in it, right? And have somebody push you from behind. I don't think that's going to happen. But then again, who thought ziplining would happen? So So you never know. And I love watching the big air snowboarders. I think what they can do snowboarding is unbelievable. I've never, and actually, I guess it's the same thing with ice skating, because I know that there's physics involved in how you can twist yourself and to spin around, and don't know how to do that. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay. 10 more. $40 then I've done. So if I got all of these done, then that would motivate me to cut up some more. Who knows? Maybe I would end up with a bigger quilt than I think. I don't know. So, so yeah, the reason I was bringing up that other UFO that I had, this one, was because I know somebody who always starts a new project on January 1st. And I also knew that she would start a project for the Olympics. And so I've always liked that idea. So I am pulling out a UFO to work on during the Olympics, because I think I'll have it'll give me some good, like, dedicated time to work on that one. But one of the reasons I bring that up is because I wanted to share. I thought this was really good. I've been really bad about reading my guild's newsletter, and I belong to the Quilters Guild of Indianapolis. And I don't think you can read the newsletter unless you're a member. So I'll read a little bit of it to you, because this was from January. Like I said, haven't been good about keeping up with it. But she had some ideas that I thought were really neat for the new year. And we're just in February. So some of these I thought were definitely worth sharing, and might give you some ideas for how to get involved in quilting in a different way than you're used to this year. And so it's not only about your projects, but she did say number 1 was to finish at least one UFO project for 2026. So if I worked on this Olympic project, if I work on that and get that done, that could be my one UFO for this year to finish. Number 2, learn a new quilting technique by taking a class to learn new skills. Well, I think you could do you wouldn't necessarily even have to take a class, but a class is certainly a really good way to make sure you're getting off to a good start on it. And the way I learned Kawandi is with it was a virtual quilter summit. And I can put the information below, because I think there are a couple of them that happen during the year. And there's a whole lineup of instructors, and they each give a 30-minute presentation, and it's spread out over a couple of days. And I think you have a little bit of time to watch or replay their presentations. And so last year, was it this time last year, I watched one on Kawandi quilting. And I can bring that project over in a minute. But I think it's a really good idea. If there's something that you want to learn how to do, to try to take a class or learn how to do it. So that's number 2. Number 3 is to get your sewing machine serviced by a qualified service representative. And I think it's been a while since I have had my machines in for servicing. I keep them pretty dust free. I keep them oiled, but I haven't gotten them into for a deep cleaning. And with as much sewing as I do, I probably need to make time for that. Now, our guild has 3 monthly meetings. It has one on the north side, one on the south side, and an evening meeting. And when you're a member, you can attend any and all of those meetings. So you could attend up to, what's that, 36, although I think there's a couple months that get missed. There's over 30 meetings a year that I could go to as a guild member. And our dues are very, very reasonable. So her suggestion was that if you regularly attend one of them, try to attend at least one of the other meetings in person so that you can make it to at least all 3 meetings at least once in the year, because each meeting has different programs and different people attend them. And so I think that's a really, really good goal. And so I think I will be trying to attend. The south side is the one that I don't get to very often. Not for any particular reason. No, I'm not in Mud Socks. Mud Socks is a really big group, really nice, but they do one meeting a month, as far as I know. One general meeting, but then they have some breakout groups where you can do some charity sew days and some others. I did belong to Mud Socks one year, and I didn't renew this year. Because it's a little bit farther than me. And for some reason I just kept missing the meetings. I think it was a Monday thing that it's not that I couldn't do Mondays. It's just that I didn't get myself planned ahead enough to do a Monday. The meetings that I go to now are on Friday afternoon. So first Friday afternoon. And so, like I said, I was there yesterday, and somehow I can get that into my schedule. I even tend to forget about the evening meetings now. I used to go exclusively to the evening meetings, and those were fun because we'd have dinner beforehand, right, Jane? And get together and then go to the meeting, and I would stop at McDonald's and bring snacks home for my kids on my way home. And so I wouldn't miss an evening meeting, but now I go to those less and I go to the daytime ones more. Seems to suit my schedule better. But I think it'd be really great to try to attend a guild meeting. If you've never done that, I would really recommend trying to attend a guild meeting. In person is, to me, a lot better than a Zoom meeting. And so I really do recommend that. Oh, hi, it's Denise, right? Good Stuff Ninja, good morning to you. How are you? Glad you could join in. So let's see, that was 4. So it's finish a UFO, learn a new technique, get your sewing machine serviced, and try to attend a guild meeting and just try one out. 5 was to choose one large project to begin and complete to present at show and tell or at your guild's next quilt show. So our next quilt show is not until 2027. So I think what she is, oh, you got your pencil pouch done. That's excellent. Yay. Good job. Wish we could see a picture of it. If you send me a picture, I'll see if I can at least hold my phone up for it, for everybody to see. So and Denise, I know you are working on some hand projects. So wouldn't it be great if you got one of those done this year and had a quilt show to display it in? That would be so wonderful. I think could be a good goal, because rarely put my quilts into the guild show. So maybe I should consider doing that. The other one is, let's see, there's only a couple more. Let me have a sip. And yes, it's coffee. It's decaf. I try not to have caffeine. It makes me jittery. So this is decaf. And this is one of my favorite mugs from one of my very favorite places. You're allergic to groups? Okay. All right. Jane just sent me a picture. Let me get that. I have an email address linked to my YouTube channel. So if you ever want to send me pictures that I can show in this live stream, let me know if this works out. So this is, oh, Jane, that's so cool. I love it. I love the octopus. Let's see. Can you all see this pouch? Pencil pouch? Oh, that's gorgeous. What is I know that this is cotton and steel. What's this other blue one? And I love that zipper. Look at that zipper. That's so pretty. I hope he loves it. I hope he really, really enjoys using it. And so he still likes octopus, right? That's great. That's great. Oh. Oh, don't do that. Don't have a problem in groups. I know. Groups take a lot to get used to, don't they? Don't they? Excuse me, my nose is running. I don't think I have a cold. I hope not. I'm going to be traveling soon. So the reason why this is probably my only live stream is that I'm going to be gone the whole second half of February. So I think from where I am going to be at my mother's house, I don't think I'm going to have anything to share or to talk about while I'm there. I don't have a machine there. So I can't sit and have things to work on there like I do here. So I doubt I'll be doing another live stream later. Okay. Oh, all right. So it's yep. So the Ruby Star Octopus, and yep, I recognized it. And the denim is a specialty denim. It looks really cool. I really like it. Is it a thicker? Is it really denim in weight or just in appearance? And Noodlehead makes really good patterns. You recommend her, don't you? You've made, Jane, I think you've made several of her patterns. I have a couple of her patterns, and I think that is one of my goals for this year. I will make one of my Noodlehead patterns this year. Simple ones, one of like pencil pouch type of difficulty. I don't do anything much more difficult than that. Okay, so getting back to the list of things you could try, because there's several things where you don't have to go out and be around lots of other people. Let's see, where was I? If there is a quilt show near you, they always like to have white glove volunteers. And I've done that for the Bloomington show several times. And if I were going to QuiltCon, I would have been happy to pick up a shift of doing white gloving at QuiltCon, because I think it really helps out the organizers. And there's usually something fun, a little fun thing that they give you, and whether it's admission or even if you didn't get anything for it, it's still a really nice way to be able to hang out around the quilts. So she said, okay, where was I on my list here? So you choose one large project, volunteer at a show, quilt show, or with your quilt guild. And actually I decided to volunteer for my guild. This time I'm going to be at the welcome desk and prepare the door prizes this year. So I think it'll be fun. It'll be easy. And I'm going to go to the meetings anyway. All the visits that I make to my mom are usually at the end of the month. And so I can be there at the beginning of the month for the first Friday. And if I can't, I'll find somebody. I'll see if somebody can sub in for me. So, volunteering, even in a one day type of a thing, one event type of a thing, is a good way to just help out just a little bit. And that doesn't have to be in quilting either. Anywhere that you have time in your schedule where you think you can possibly do it, you pick what interests you and spend 3 or 4 hours in some way. I know at the voting polls, they always need people. Indianapolis is such a big city that there's always events going on downtown, and there's almost always a call out for volunteers. When we hosted the Super Bowl several years ago, my husband had volunteered several shifts to help people out downtown, just be a good steward, and he said it was lots and lots of fun. So volunteer is one thing, and like I said, for me, 2 or 3 hours here or there is enough, and it doesn't have to be a huge commitment for lots and lots of time. So I don't think what I'm doing is a board position, but that's fine. They were saying they had some board positions to fill. So the other thing is to meet and sit next to someone that you don't know when you go to a meeting, so that you can make some new friends. And I probably need to be better about that, about sitting at different tables. But I also use it as a chance to catch up with the people that I don't get to see but once a month. And so a 2-hour guild meeting goes really, really fast if you don't have a lot of downtime in between. So yes, I could probably sit next to somebody, but that's when you're at a board meet as a board member, you almost automatically get to know a whole bunch of different people. And then the last one was to make at least one charity quilt top to be donated to the charity quilt committee. And I have done that every year. I've usually made one quilt top, and then I'll usually quilt a couple of quilt tops for them. So they get to choose which ones, and they bring me the batting and the backing, and I'll get those on my long arm and quilt them up for if there's something with a special purpose. So we have several projects a year that I do pro bono. So anyway, I think that's a really fantastic list. You want me to really, really quickly so that you don't have to like rewind? Okay, so it's finish at least one UFO, learn a new technique, Get your sewing machine serviced. If you regularly attend a guild meeting, like ours has 3 meetings a month, choose one of the other meetings to go to so that you meet new people. But if you attend any guild meeting that you don't usually go to, I think that's great. Choose one large project to work on this year, to begin and complete so that you can put it into the next quilt show. Make one charity quilt top in the year to donate. Volunteer somewhere, and or become a board member of your guild and work on a committee, and meet and sit next to someone that you don't know if you go to your next guild meeting. So a few ideas for how to hopefully enhance your quilting experience. But you know what? I'm going to say if you're here, that's a really good thing too. I appreciate you being here. And if you are new to watching live streams, guess what? I'm new to doing live streams. And so I am really happy that if this is the community that works best for you, I am really thrilled that I can provide that space for you. And so I know that I'll be doing this at least once a month and hopefully twice a month. And so if you don't mind me chattering on about things, I'll try to bring in some different things each month. If you have topics that you'd like for us to talk about, then that would be awesome too. And I welcome you here. And so it's all good. If we are meeting in here, I know YouTube has been a really fun thing for me. And I should mention that Denise at Good Stuff Ninja, she also is commenting here. You can find her at Good Stuff Ninja. Denise has a YouTube channel. And I think were you on my live stream last time? And then I think I checked out and I subscribed to you. And so now we're getting to be friends. And so that's really, really fun. And so let's see. Oh, that's interesting. Is that right? So if you read what Denise says, she said, people want to know your family stories. Oh, I don't talk a lot about myself. I'll talk about quilting anytime, but I don't talk about myself. Our group seems to have a lot of, like in my sewing group that I meet with once a month. Let's see, 1, 2. Jane, are you and I the only ones that are married? And then everybody else is living on their own, I think. Have I got that right? No, Cindy, three of us are married, but we are, say, it seems to me that more than half of my friends are unmarried or single for whatever reason. And I really am sorry. I think people shouldn't necessarily be treating you differently because you are living on your own. I guess I hadn't really thought they could be that way. So yeah, Denise, you are doing your daily 9 patch. I'm not, but I'm making a daily block. How's that? It's not a 9 patch. I can go, actually, I keep rotating. Since I started this idea of trying different projects for 30 minutes to see what continues to inspire me and what project I want to work on, I have been, oh, okay. Okay. Since I have been working on this like 30 minutes a day, or maybe not every day, but 30 minutes on different projects, I've been pulling out some different things, and that ends up being my block a day. So just to go back a little bit, so one of the projects that I brought to sew today, but I have it ready, but I haven't actually started sewing, were my disappearing hourglass blocks. Get that oriented right so you can see it. So I'm making these, and those blocks start out as the hourglass blocks. So this is about 14, almost 14 inches. Is that right? No, 12 3/4 inches when it's like this, made from layer cake squares. And I cut my own 10-inch squares. I used the tutorial from Missouri Star Quilt Company. I'm doing it just the way she says to do it. So yes, these are bias edges. It has not been a problem. I've been doing just fine with it. And so when you cut those blocks into thirds, both directions, I cut this at, it's 4 1/4 and 4 1/4. And that's my measurements for it. And then I have a whole bunch of these blocks made. I'm at 20 something and I need 42. So maybe I will get to this, maybe not. So that's one of the projects that was a brand new start this year. But I want to keep working on that a little bit at a time. I also showed this one. This is a long time UFO made from 2.5-inch strips. And when you sew 2 of them together, you get this. Now I'm going to be sewing 4 of them together. So this would be the top half, and that would be the bottom half. But this is as far as I've gotten, is I'm cutting up all my strips for it, and that's going to be my project during the Olympics as something new. And then let me grab my other little project that I've made a tiny bit of progress on. So I started, I think it was January 1st last year. I started a color wash quilt using Terry Rowland's instructions. And Terry Rowland has a YouTube channel. I'll find her link and put it below, put it in the description box. And so as I've been cutting up, so these were, well, this one isn't blue necessarily, but I was cutting up some of my blue scraps, and I have purple, I have yellows. I don't know that, I don't want to dump the whole thing out. Pinks, greens. So I have piles of that I'm working on, and I need piles of these, because again, these are small blocks. These are 3.5 inches before they're sewn into the quilt, and 3-inch finished. And so I have a total of about almost 220, but I think I need double that in order to have any kind of a size quilt. So as I cut my scraps up, if I find brightly colored scraps that I like and that I really want to use for this. They need to be at least 1.5 inches wide. And in order for me to make that, it could be a little scant if I make the center section a little bigger. But they're not meant to be all the same. So, I mean, these are good examples. There's nothing the same about these two centers. You can vary where they go and how big those centers are. And I have some that are like quite a bit larger. And so in my scraps, I have a little tub, one of those, I get these at Target. I love these. This size is good for little bits. So I have a bin like this just for smaller cutoffs that I don't have to trim before I use them. And so I am working on that from time to time as my block a day. But Denise, I think you are keeping up with your block a day, aren't you? You said you do that first thing in the morning, and yours is all hand pieced, right? And then that's sort of a warm up. And I'd actually like to get into that rhythm of, grab my coffee and see if I can spend, 10 or 15 minutes sewing, let's say, one of these red and white blocks together, or if I have all of those color wash, or these, if I have this stuff all lined up the night before, I can come and sit down and put a block or two together. So I think that would be a good jump start. Oh, I hope you feel better. This is, it's awfully hard to stay well during the winter. I'm trying to be really careful about not getting a cold because, like I said, I'm going out to stay with my mother for a couple of weeks, and she is 96, and I try to be super careful right before I go out. I mean, especially before I go out there, because I don't want to bring anything into her house and make her sick. That would not be good. So, anyway, that's, having a cold in the winter is not fun. So I hope that you take care of yourself. Okay. So, did you know that this February is considered a perfect month because with its 28 days, it goes 4 complete weeks. And I thought that was really cool. I like watching the sun and the stars and the moon. I don't do zodiac and I don't do horoscopes or anything like that. I just enjoy looking up at the sky and seeing the stars and the planets. And so February is a perfect month because it starts on a Sunday, goes 4 complete weeks, and ends on a Saturday. And I thought that was kind of neat. So no, I am not, Melissa, I am not working on any Valentine's projects. Why does it seem that I always feel like January goes on forever, but then all of a sudden it's February, and I have not started or even really had a chance to think about anything for Valentine's Day. I'll be lucky to get a couple of the cards out. I got a couple cards yesterday, and I'll get those out in the mail. I was thinking that I would like to actually make a card, where you can cut out a heart shape and put some of those cute fabric scraps behind it and stitch it in there. But I don't think I'll even get to that. So, but I do have a heart quilt that is out on the couch. I have made some heart quilts, and I've given all of them away except for that one. And I have a table runner that I have out on the table right now. So that's all I've got for Valentine's. I didn't start anything new, but this red and white one feels kind of like this disappearing hourglass feels kind of Valentine's to me, but I think I'll be able to use it any time of year that I want to. So anyway, is anybody working on trying to finish Valentine's? Jane, I do say your pencil pouch that you made, that you just finished, you said it's denim in weight, but and you interfaced the cotton, that was the octopus fabric. You interfaced that so that they seemed like a better pairing. Okay. Is that for Ed for Valentine's Day? Or are you making anything for the girls? Yeah, with my green scraps, I think that's why she must have chosen green for February, so that we could get a start on something. But and I do want to make an Irish train. I do want to make a scrappy Irish train. Can't say it. Scrappy Irish chain quilt for my niece, because she loves all things St. Patrick's Day, and I thought that, and her maiden name is O'Connor, so I really would love to make her an Irish chain. But because I'm going to be gone like the rest of the month, and without a sewing machine, it's going to be kind of hard to do anything for her, at least this year. But and before you know it, it'll be March, and the next color will be pulled, and it just seems like that time is going to go by so super fast that anyway, I don't know. I don't know that, but I'm thinking that was the intent. So the last time I did the scrap challenge, I actually did an Irish chain quilt, and it's in episode one of my earlier, well, I'm thinking maybe episode 8. And if you look at the thumbnail pictures, you'll see it because it's right behind me in the thumbnail picture. And I'm thinking it was episode 8. And I really liked making that quilt. It was a Melissa Corey free pattern. And so every month I made as many 9-patch blocks as I could for that quilt. And the reason that worked for me is because I didn't have to make the whole quilt out of greens and make a whole quilt in 1 month. If I had time to make 5 blocks 1 month but 20 blocks the next month, it was okay. It didn't matter. And I did pull through my scraps. Now that one was actually, like I said, that was so fun. That was one I could actually consider making again. But I would look for an idea maybe similar to that. That's why I said I kind of need different things to do with my scraps that maybe aren't quilts. I have a couple of pouch patterns also. I don't know, Melissa, I don't know what the Noodlehead 241 bag is, but I bet that Jane knows exactly which one that is. So I could consider making some smaller pouches. And then, like I said, the other idea I just reminded myself of while talking about this was making placemats for like Meals on Wheels type programs. Now, I'm not associated with any of those programs, so I'd have to figure out how to get it to them. I suppose the other thing I could do would be to, there's the retirement center where we have our guild meetings on Fridays. I wonder if they would be interested in having any of the like colorful placemats for their residents. So I could look into that and try to come up with some easy ways of just making some easy piecing, but pretty, like even making a couple of these disappearing hourglass blocks and then turning that into a placemat. Even just making smaller hourglass blocks and turning it into a placemat could be a really nice thing to do for the community. So, but there's so many ideas and so little time, right? If I could sit and sew all day long, I still wouldn't get it done. I'd still have enough for 100 years, right? Let's see if I can do a few more of these. So we've got a little bit of time left. And as soon as I know that I will do this again a month from today, that's March 7th. I'm quite certain that that's the next date for my next live stream. And if I think that I might have something to talk about, maybe I'll pop in 2 weeks from today when I'm out at my mom's and maybe do a short one, even though I'm not really working on anything. I'm going to see what kind of a project I can bring with me that time. I'm also going to be getting my next episode ready, and that should be posted during the time that I'm gone, and I'll have my regular Wednesday videos that will come out. So, oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I could ask the fire department. And actually, where I sew on a monthly basis, so my guild meetings are held in a retirement center, and my monthly sewing days are held in a government center. And there is a fire station and police station right there in that same building. I think the police station is there. Anyway, I know that there's a policeman on duty when we enter the building. So I could ask them about groups to donate to. Oh, your library got a long arm. Oh, that's cool. So loading and reloading. All right. It usually takes me, the first time I load the quilt on, I allow myself an hour. If it's like a queen size quilt. If it's a lap size quilt, you could probably do it in half that time. I'm not on a time crunch though. So I suppose if I really was on a time crunch, I would make myself move faster and probably try to do it faster. And if you were starting out with, I would say start out with maybe something that you think you can finish in 2 hours. like a lap size or throw size quilt, then maybe you could just work on it the whole time and not have to bring it back. 2 hours is a pretty short time window. There's not too many projects that I finish in 2 hours, whether I'm quilting for myself or for others. I don't know if you have the time available to book a double slot. You might consider doing that. Reloading isn't that hard because you're still using, when you load a quilt, you are centering it on the bars. And so when you reload it, you are still going to center it on the bars. And depending on whether you're doing it free motion or with a pantograph, if you're doing a pantograph, then you would save your program and write down all the notations for placement. And but it's I would say, like, well, I guess I don't want to be too it's not hard for me to find my place again. So when I do leave a quilt overnight on my long arm, it takes me 5 minutes to find my place again. Maybe 5 minutes to bring up the program and find a spot, get the quilt, make sure it's all horizontal, vertical. So that part is not hard to do. But I'd say, like anything, you'd probably need to do it a couple of times to get comfortable with it. And when I leave my quilt on overnight, I don't take it off the bars. All I have to do is find my spot again. So yeah, if maybe the library person who's setting this up, maybe they don't realize that 2 hours is pretty short amount of time. But I think that's awesome. That's the first I've ever heard of a public facility that would allow you to take a course and be able to book time on it. You could, start small so that you don't have to do the reloading thing and you can use up all of your time. That's really awesome. There was a store in town here that used to have long arms that you could rent time on, but as far as I know, I don't think there is one anymore in the Indianapolis area. But sometimes the quilt stores that sell the machines might have rental time available, because if they have the machines set up, then, and they just have them for display, they're not making any money on them when they're just sitting there empty. So if they sell long arms, maybe they'd be willing to rent time to you. If you don't have a library like Melissa does that has one, what kind is it? Do you know what kind of? Oh, okay. Always in Stitches. All right. They rent time out? I didn't know that. Okay. I guess I'm not quite up to date on that because, I don't need to rent time, so I haven't been keeping up with that. There's also a long arm group in Indianapolis or in Indiana called Hoosier Machine Quilters, and I think this year we're mostly meeting on Zoom. But if somebody needs that, that'd be a good question to perhaps post to groups. But I definitely encourage anybody who thinks they have an interest in doing long arm quilting to give it a try. I know it's not for everybody, but uh, I have really, really enjoyed having one. Um, I I don't do anything fancy with it. I do edge to edge, but I can always change that. I can always do um, and learn and try other things with it. And I can use it on my own time. So I've definitely gotten my money's worth out of it, if you want to look at it that way. Um, and I enjoy doing quilting for other people. So I didn't buy it with that intention that I just, when I bought my first machine, it was with the intention that I would just do my own quilting. And it grew into something that I did want to do for other people. So, oh, Tonya, you have a long arm too? And do you do edge to edge, or do you do custom quilting? Because see, I've kind of determined that I admire custom quilting a lot. I really do. But it's not something that I enjoy doing as much as my edge to edge. Yes, yeah. Yep. Good for you. You're so brave. I really admire that. It's just not something that ever clicked with me as well as doing edge to edge. So, um, but maybe it's the only thing I can come up with for that, for why I do edge to edge, is because when I make quilts, I make them to be used. Like I said, I hardly ever enter anything into a show. Um, I'm I'm kind of on the utility end of the spectrum for my quilt making, and so edge to edge serves me quite well. And I imagine that some of my quilts probably would have looked better for perhaps with custom quilting on it. Um, but I make them for me and for my family and relatives and to donate. And so it serves my purpose just to do what I'm doing. So, okay. Um, I bet it would make me a better quilter if I did some custom. And I do have a couple of books. I have done a little bit of it, and I will say that the ones that I'm thinking of that come to mind, it was very satisfying to me to do them in a custom style. I did a wedding quilt for my nephew, and I know they still use that quilt and like it. Um, but that's something that I can definitely consider in this new year and going forward, is that because I have taken in fewer customer jobs, it does mean that I have more time to do quilts the way I want to do, to experiment more, I should say, not to do them the way I want to do them, but to experiment more and maybe just try some other things with my quilting. So that would certainly fit in with my goals for this year, to do a little bit of that. So, well, we're getting near the end of today's session, and so I want to thank you all so much for being here. I have really enjoyed it. I hope I've been able to keep you company in whatever you're doing. Melissa, I hope you got your quilt basted. I hope that's going well. And Denise, I hope you're feeling better. I hope everybody has a good Valentine's Day if you celebrate, or if you're getting together with friends, or whatever you're choosing to do on that day. I hope you have a nice time. Um, if you're watching the Olympics, I hope they have a great Olympics. I hope it's as fun as always to watch that. And maybe you'll have a project that you work on just for the Olympics, so that every time you look at it when it's done, you'll go, oh, I remember that. I remember those Olympics. I've never had anybody that I've known to be in the Olympics. I don't believe, I can't think of anybody that I've ever known that was in it. But I hope I've also given you some more food for thought with things to encourage you for getting either more immersed or doing more things in quilting. And yeah, I hope you all have a really great weekend. And I hope it's been really fun for you. And we'll get together again before St. Patrick's Day, and who knows, maybe I will have a little green something to share. Next time I'll share my Kawandi quilt, because I'll have all the blue and the green done. I didn't bring that out this time, and I have some other projects too. Always some other projects I could bring out to share. So it's pretty cold here today, but the sky is blue. I have a window right out in front of me here, and it looks like it's going to be a really great day to get outside for a little bit of a walk or a run or something like that. And yes, thank you. I hope to have safe travels and get there and back safely. I'll be flying. She's in New York. I'm in Indianapolis. So I will take a puddle jumper to Detroit and then another flight to New York. And so I'm sure I will enjoy my time with her. It's always she's so easy to be with. She really is. She's so easy to be with, and so I think it'll be really nice. And I'm grateful that she's still here, and that she still wants to be here. So yep, she's not a Sour Patch at all. She's absolutely delightful. And we always have things we can, she's always willing to try anything. So we will find things to do. And whether it's cold and snowy out or not, that's nothing new for her. Cold and snowy in New York in wintertime is not new. So anyway, until next time, thank you so much for being here. If you haven't subscribed yet, it would be wonderful if you would consider subscribing. I also have a membership level, but I haven't been able to do much for my members lately. I'm so sorry. I will be working on that when I get back from New York. And take care until next time. Happy sewing. Stay safe. Enjoy the coming of spring. At least here we should be hopefully looking maybe a little bit more like spring by the next time we get together. And take care. Bye-bye.